Hey everyone. Today we're diving into one of the most powerful yet kind of invisible industries on the entire planet, global shipping. You might not think about it much, but it's in the middle of a colossal transformation, and we're going to break down what that means for, well, all of us. So let's get into it.
Just take a quick look around you. Your phone, that coffee in your mug, maybe even the chair you're sitting on. There is a 90% chance that it, or at least some of its parts, spent a good chunk of its life on a massive container ship. This industry is the silent, beating heart of the global economy. It's the unseen engine that literally moves our world.
Because, that is exactly what's happening right now. The entire system is at this historic crossroads, getting slammed by a series of powerful forces that are reshaping it from the keel up. And this isn't just about building bigger ships. We are talking about a fundamental reinvention of the whole game. To make sense of all this, we're going to frame it as the three tides of change. First, we'll look at the massive push to go green, then the flood of new tech that's pouring in, and finally, the dangerous new risks that come with all that shiny new tech. This is our game plan for today. All right, first up, the green wave. Let's be honest, the pressure on this carbon-heavy industry to clean up its act is absolutely immense. Shipping has to decarbonize, and that means totally rethinking the one thing that makes it all possible. It's fuel. So here's the core of the problem. For decades, ships have run on this cheap but incredibly dirty heavy fuel oil. The future, according to a lot of research, points towards things like green hydrogen, which has zero carbon emissions. Sounds great, right? But the trade-offs are just staggering. We're talking about a monumental challenge. You need brand new facilities, powered by renewable energy, just to produce the hydrogen. Then you need special ships to move it, and every single major port would need a complete overhaul to store and pump it. It's a massive undertaking. And that quote right there, it nails a really important point. This green revolution isn't just happening out on the open ocean. Ports are transforming into the critical hubs for this whole transition. They're not just places to load and unload cargo anymore. They're becoming centers for renewable energy, for new fuel bunkering, and even for developing tech like carbon capture. They're the nexus of this new green infrastructure. Okay, let's move on to our second tide, and you'll see how this all connects. We're calling it the data deluge. For decades, shipping has been a really traditional, you could even say conservative industry. But now it's being flooded with data, with AI, with digital tech, and it's changing everything about how it operates. And critically, it's the very thing that might make that green transition we just talked about even possible. This has given rise to this whole new sector people are calling Maritech. And you should think of it just like fintech for finance or biotech for medicine. It's a boom in startups and innovation, all laser-focused on dragging this legacy industry kicking and screaming into the 21st century. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Where's the money actually going? Well, research shows that a whopping 75% of investment is flowing into soft tech, things like software, data platforms, and AI. Only 25% is going to hard tech, like new engines or ship designs. And why is that? Simple. Software scales way faster. You don't need to build a giant factory, and it can give you immediate gains and efficiency. It's a total shift towards brains over brawn. So, what does this soft tech revolution actually look like in the real world? Well, it means using AI to predict and even prevent accidents at sea. It's using big data to make ports run smoother and to optimize shipping routes, which, by the way, saves an incredible amount of fuel. And it's all about these digital platforms that can manage the entire logistics chain from end to end, analyzing a ship's path in real time. And get this isn't some far-off sci-fi dream. A recent study on Arctic shipping developed a deep learning model that could predict accidents with an F1 score of 0.89. Now, an F1 score is basically an AI's report card. It balances how precise it is with how much it can actually see. And a score of 0.89? That's like getting a solid A on a really, really hard test. It's a perfect example of how data can make one of the world's most dangerous jobs a whole lot safer. Which brings us to our third and final tide, the rising risk. Because every single one of these digital innovations, every sensor, every connection, every algorithm, it creates a new vulnerability. This whole digital transformation has a dark side, and it's a growing wave of cyber threats. To really get this risk, you have to start thinking of modern ships as what experts call cyber-physical systems. It's a bit of a fancy term, but all it really means is that they're no longer just simple mechanical objects. They're these incredibly complex systems that deeply connect their digital brains, the software, with their physical bodies, the engines, the navigation, the steering. And that right there is the absolute key. When you connect the software that runs the ship directly to the hardware that moves the ship, you open a door for a cyber attack to have devastating real-world physical consequences. I mean, a hacked computer is one thing. A hacked supertanker is something else entirely. And the threats are incredibly diverse. As you can see, we're talking about everything from ransomware attacks targeting autonomous ferries to something called GPS spoofing, where hackers can literally trick a ship's navigation system, potentially causing it to run aground or collide with another vessel. Every connected system is a new door for someone to break in. This is the new, scary frontier of maritime risk. So, you've got these three massive tides, the green wave, the data deluge, and the rising risk, all crashing together at the same time. The big question is, how on earth does the industry navigate all of this? What's it going to take to successfully manage this incredibly complex new era? Well, the research seems to point to three major barriers. First, there are huge economic hurdles. This kind of transformation is ridiculously expensive, and it can be really tough to prove a clear return on investment. Second, the technical complexity is just off the charts. Getting all these new systems from different companies to talk to each other is a nightmare. And finally, maybe the biggest hurdle of all is a cultural one. This is an industry that has to learn to move beyond its traditional conservative mindset and embrace change. And that brings us to what might be the most critical point of all. Technology by itself is not the answer. The latest research makes it crystal clear that this entire transformation depends on people. It's about recruiting, training, and retaining a workforce that can actually build, manage, and secure these complex new systems. A smart ship is totally useless without a smart crew and a smart team on shore to back them up. So we end with this question. The journey to a smarter, greener, and more efficient shipping industry is definitely underway. But it is also a journey into a much more complex and much more risky world. How we manage to navigate these three powerful tides of change will ultimately determine the future of global trade as we know it. Thanks for watching.